This is the Sports Porch, Black and Gold, with your hosts, the Technical Director, the Grand Schwabini, and Hockey Jesus. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's show a little Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates love. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now. And here we are. That's right. This is the Sports Porch Black and Gold edition, coming to you from all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show. That's right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Mm-hmm. If you're watching us live from anywhere else, go over to YouTube and subscribe at the Sports Porch Podcast and listen to the podcast anywhere you get your pods. In front of me in the studio is the Grand Schwabini. Notoriously absent is Hockey Jesus, but I believe he is
walking on water.
That is right. Currently giving sermons out on the left coast with lots and lots of wine. Lots and apparently some was that picture he sent us last night, or was it last night? Right, bourbon. Not last night. What night?
I thought it was wine.
Yeah, was it wine?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't know. He's an alcoholic now. I mean, but
he's
it's okay.
in Sonoma.
Look, once you've raised your kids and they're gone, and you're like getting ready to retire, I say if alcoholism, if it's good for you.
If it suits you, it suits you.
There you go.
Yeah.
It suits you. What are we going to do tonight? Well, the draft is over. Don't drink and drive. The draft is over. The Steelers have drafted, and breaking news, they just signed Robert Woods to a 1-year, $2 million deal, right?
Correct.
Who is
another receiver
from the Texans. So that's a little bit of breaking news if you haven't heard it already. But we're going to do a little Steelers draft grading. We're going to grade each draft pick. We'll talk a little bit more about the NFL draft. For those of you guys who watched our live draft show last, these days are all dragging together, man. It's like, so it was last week.
It was last Monday. It was last Thursday evening,
a couple days ago.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about the Pirates' struggles. There's some big Penguins news. I'm sure everybody's already heard it now. Sully is out. HJ dropped the podcast on that just a couple hours back. Hopefully he'll be tuning in here. He can insert himself at any time. So we'll get his thoughts on that. We got a Trader Joe's snack time segment we're going to get to. This is going to be an interesting one. And I'm sure, I don't know if you'll like it or not. I don't even know if I'm going to like it.
I don't know if I'm going to like it either.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell what it was when I saw it for the brief second.
Yeah, that's good. Anyway, I give those away too much. And a little bit of what we're watching. So if you have any thoughts on the Steelers draft and their picks, just drop a comment for us. We'd love to hear from you. That's what we do here. We're not insiders. We're guys that have been watching sports for the better part of 45 years of our lives. So we have a combined 150 plus years of sports watching experience, which, man, I don't care if you went to journalism school or not. That's got to count for something.
We're experienced.
Yes.
We're experienced.
Yes. We are experienced sports watchers, but we give you our honest opinions, and we give you a chance, more importantly, to tell us what yours are.
That's right.
Even if it hurts our feelings or makes us cry. So Steelers draft grades. Schwaber, I'm going to let you kind of run the show from this standpoint, because you were kind enough to send these pictures to me.
Sure.
So I can get them loaded in.
Be happy to.
First one's easy. The number one pick for the Steelers this year, 21st overall, was Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon. What's your feelings on this, Schwaber?
I like the pick. I'm going to give it an A. I think that the Steelers have been run on far too often the past couple years.
Right.
And not only that, but you have to prepare for the eventual retirement of Cam Hayward. So to have a big man in the middle who plays a 3 technique.
Right.
It's a good pick. I mean, I think it's solid. Also, our prayers go out to his family.
Absolutely.
Just really rough. His mother passed away shortly after seeing him get drafted. She was probably hanging in there just to kind of see him get drafted.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, so it seems like he's got
motivation.
Really good character. This guy used NIL money to help his mother's treatment.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a decent human being. Yeah. So I think they got a good person.
We don't want him to be a decent human being when he's playing the line.
Right.
We want him to wreck people.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a good player. I really like the pick. Now look, there's a lot of chatter about why they didn't take a quarterback with the number 1 pick.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that.
We'll talk a lot about that in a minute. But this is Derek Harmon Day.
Yeah, Derek Harmon Day.
And, he deserves props. He's a heck of a player, and I'm personally very happy to see him play on the Steelers.
Absolutely. Before I give you my thoughts, Chris Chott is in the house. Thanks again for being here on YouTube, Chris. I'm not a Will Howard fan. I despise all things Ohio State, but I'm curious to see what he has. Obviously, we're going to talk about Will Howard, so stay tuned, Chris. I know you will. Mike Lawrence is back. Thanks for being here, Mike. Really appreciate it. Was the draft excellent? Probably not. However, their picks were maybe better than most. Glad they did not pick Sanders. Keep Rodgers in Malibu. We'll have thoughts on that, of course. Marvin Hamilton says, good evening, guys. What's up, Marvin? Thanks for being here again. Derek Harmon. Well, look, if you listen to our podcast or you watch our show or you watched the draft show last week, you know that one of the things we were most concerned about was the difference between what we think the Steelers should do and what we were afraid they would do. And I think it was a consensus that all of us, HJ, the counselor, you and I, we wanted them to go D-line or defense, shore up the trenches, so to speak. But we were really concerned that if that name, Shedeur Sanders, dropped to 21, they might try the shiny new toy thing. And they didn't. And that was a good thing. So this pick was exactly what they needed as far as filling a need. Whether or not he will be a success in the NFL, we know all draft picks, could be a 50-50 shot. But this guy is what they need. Cam Hayward is getting older. He's a big body on the defensive line who can play 3 technique, like you said. They need a run stopper there. They need somebody who can suck up offensive linemen. So our edge rushers, obviously we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. So our edge rushers can get to the quarterback. If you think about it, as poor as the Steelers offense has been the last few years, their biggest issue has been the running defense. And when they get to the playoffs, giving up a lot of points, which last I checked has absolutely nothing to do with your offense. So they addressed what I believe was their biggest need. So I like the pick. I give it an A. I give it an A. So next up on the board.
Did I grade it? I'd give it an A as well.
I was just assuming you were giving it an A.
I just don't recall.
Yeah. Next up on the board, I believe, is a running back.
Caleb Johnson out of Iowa.
Looks like he's already wearing a Steelers uniform there.
It does.
Iowa black and gold.
So I'll tell you a little bit about him. He's a big back. So he's 6'1", 224.
Right.
Pretty fast, I'd say, for a running back at 4.57 40.
Right.
He was the Big Ten running back of the year.
Yep.
First team All Big Ten.
Yep.
Finalist for the Doak Walker Award, which is,
I don't know.
It's the top running back in the nation.
Why did you point to me? Because you knew I would know that.
No, yeah.
We got HJ in the house too, but finish this and then we'll get him in
He ranked 6th in FBS with 138 points scored. Tied a school rushing record with 21 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
Ranked 7th with 1,537 rushing yards. 8th with 1,725 all-purpose yards. He also had 22 catches for 188 and an 8.5 average, 2 touchdowns receiving. Set school record with 23 total touchdowns. So, hey, that's a pretty darn good running back season.
Yes. They needed a running back, and we talked about this. Jaylen Warren.
Well, they needed a big back because they had 2 small backs.
Right. And Gainwell weren't going to get it done. And I do I like the pick here? I don't know. I think I do. If I'm going to grade it, I'm going to give it a B. slightly to the B plus side. So not all the way on a B plus. What I think is most important about this is a strict Tomlin thing. He doesn't fumble. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, of course they're going to take a back who doesn't fumble. Now, he doesn't have breakaway speed, which I don't like. My concern with a running back of his pedigree is that, did we get another Najee Harris? We're just not going to have to pay him. And if that's the case, that's the case. I don't think anybody's expecting big things from the offense this year other than the offensive line coming together. And if they do come together in the right way, well, then this guy's going to have some room to run and he's got the tools. So I give it a B.
I give it a B plus. I'm not ready to say that he doesn't have breakaway speed. That's
just what I read.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen him, but like, to me, it's like, the difference between a 4.45 and a 4.5 isn't much,
Yeah.
So, sometimes there's guys that they don't have that blazing speed on the tape, but nobody catches them from behind.
Right.
So I know he did score 23 touchdowns. And if they weren't all within 5 yards, which I imagine they weren't, then he was able to bust some runs.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and let's hope that his career long rush is longer than like 38 yards, which I think was Najee Harris's longest.
I'd take the over on that.
Yeah, probably. Martin Lawrence says, when we had Ben, our offense was good, but our defense was lacking. Now we have defense. The offense must catch up. I'm not sure I agree completely with that. Let's bring Hockey Jesus in here. HJ, where are you driving to?
I'm not fucking connected there.
Yes, you're connected.
Yes, you're
right
connected.
Here.
We heard you loud and clear, Hockey Jesus.
You are fucking connected.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at him. There he is. Huh. Interesting.
Shall we go back to him when he realizes that he's...
Shall we just remove him? Let's just remove him.
Let's remove him.
Marvin Hamilton says B+. He makes great decisions and hits the hole. Excellent. Love that. What are your grades for the draft so far? Next up on the draft board for the Steelers, you're going to have to tell me, Schwaber. I don't remember what. Oh, I got it right in front of me. Jack Sawyer, the edge rusher from Ohio State. Let's put him up on the board here. What do you have to say about Jack Sawyer? There's a lot of conflicting opinions about this draft choice.
I love Jack Sawyer.
Yeah.
Jack Sawyer is a really good football player. He comes up big in big spots. He had the crucial game-winning play, I believe, in the semifinals of the football playoffs, where he got a strip sack, recovered the fumble, and returned it 90 yards for a touchdown. So he's a big-time player. I like the fact also, too, just, another good quality person. I'm not sure if you're aware of this story. I didn't really hear it being thrown around during the draft, but I heard it after, he won the championship. He was committed to go to Ohio State.
Right
when they made the change to Ryan Day.
Okay.
And so what happens in that case is a lot of those kids then turn around and decide to go somewhere else. And he said that he had wanted to play for Ohio State his whole life. And he had a meeting with Ryan Day and, enjoyed the meeting and basically said to Ryan Day, I'm going to ride with you, coach. And from Ryan Day's perspective, that was the most important moment in his coaching career.
Oh, wow.
Because he felt if Jack Sawyer was going to stick with him, then everybody else would.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so they really had kind of been through it all together. You could tell, when he was hugging players at the end of the game, when they won the national championship, like the two of them had a special relationship. So I always think that that's a really good thing. Somebody who's kind of loyal, and stays true to their word. Right. So that, again, just like the Derek Harmon, good person, good football player. I really like this kid. I think he'll do very well. I'm going to give it a B+.
You know what? I'm giving it a B+ as well. The only reason I'm not giving it an A is because we didn't really need an edge rusher, But here's the thing. If you believe that TJ Watt is now on the backside of his career, and you believe that Alex Highsmith needs a TJ Watt, and you believe that, Cam Hayward is probably in his last year or second to last year, and they drafted the next Cam Hayward, why not draft the next TJ Watt? I'm not.
Well, yeah, he might not be the next TJ Watt.
Of course, but you have to start thinking about that now.
Right.
And we talked about this in our show, in our Philadelphia show. Everybody's following the Eagles playbook, Well,
what do the Eagles do? They rotate. Right. They have tons of guys. And when you rotate, that means that everybody's fresh in the fourth quarter.
Right. Right. And this is not necessarily, this is working your way towards the rotation situation. But look at this hockey Jesus trying to come back after I told him to, his connection is funky. This is your, this is looking to the future, TJ Watt, is he going to sign an extension? Probably. Are they going to work shit out with him? Most likely. Is he going to be at the top of his game? No, and does he get injured? Yes. So I really like this pick. Marvin says, perfect time to find a replacement. You don't want to wait till he's old, right? Chris Chott is really upset. If the Steelers had an effing QB, wouldn't it be easier to see how these pieces fit in? Unreal, the position is still in limbo, unless it really isn't Mason as a guy for next year. We're going to get to that when we get to Will Howard. Just hold your horses, pump the brakes, OC.
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
We'll get to that. I'm going to give Hockey Jesus one more shot to come in here, and we'll see. Hockey Jesus, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here this time. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we heard you last time too.
Yeah, we did hear you last time. The whole
you probably heard a lot of swearing because I was not very happy with the way my connection was working.
Yeah. Well, it's still not working that great.
Yeah. What are you in a rental car right now?
Yeah. All right, buddy.
All right.
Yeah,
See ya.
We're kicking you out, my friends. Just watch.
See you, bye.
Okay. So we just went Jack Sawyer, the
lesson to future podcasters. Try not to podcast in a rental car in the middle of nowhere in California.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. Marvin's back in here saying, I wish we could have got the right guy to replace Ben. Listen, again,
we're getting there.
Pump the brakes.
We're getting there.
All right. Your next pick is, I've heard this said many different times, Yaya, whatever.
Well, it has to be the coolest name of any player drafted.
Yeah.
Yaya Black.
Yes. Defensive tackle out of Iowa.
Yes. Another black and gold.
Yes.
What
do you know about him, Schwaber?
What do I know about Yaya Black?
Not much.
I don't know a ton.
Yeah.
But I will tell you if you'll give me a moment.
Oh, please do. So he is a defensive tackle out of Iowa. And while you're looking up his stats, I want to say another at least a B+ pick for me. Our defensive line, it was absolutely the biggest place of need for us. And you just can't fill those trenches with enough guys. So in the first 4 picks, 2 DTs and an edge rusher, way to go. I love the pick.
Yeah, it's a good pick in terms of trying to get, and I heard Tomlin speak. What Tomlin was saying is we need to get more physical.
Right.
Because they were manhandled against the Ravens.
Absolutely.
And against a lot of teams, right? So this guy is an enormous man. He's 6'6", 336.
All day long.
Okay? So he's an effective run defender with outstanding arm length. He latches on with his big hands and can press blockers off his frame. He's tall and plays high, but he's strong enough to anchor one-on-one and can overpower some blockers. Disengages in time to make plays. He can push the pocket and get off blocks rushing the quarterback. He reads the quarterback and gets his hands up and knocks down passes.
Yeah, he's exactly what they're looking for.
Exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, and if you put him in there with Derek Harmon, they learn from Cam Hayward, learning from one of the best in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a B+.
Yeah, I give it another B+ as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're going on need here. So now we're going to get to the point in the draft that I think everybody's kind of hot to talk about here. Now, Marvin Hamilton says he reminds me of Gilbert Brown from the Packers. Right, that guy was enormous. So don't you remember how big Gilbert Brown was?
Oh, talking about Yaya.
Yeah. That guy was enormous, and so is Yaya.
Yeah.
All right, round 6, the 9th pick in the 6th round was everybody's QB. Where is
world champion?
Yes,
Will Howard.
Will Howard from Ohio State. Now
he's a big man. He's 6'4", 236. I like that.
That's Ben Roethlisberger size.
Yep. So, at first he led Kansas State to a Big 12 title and then transferred to Ohio State and won a national championship.
Yeah, all this guy does is win championships.
So what they say about him is he's a streaky passer,
right? Coming
off an excellent playoff run. Now, he was the best player in the college football playoffs, period.
Right.
He can hit receivers in stride. He can throw them open. He can also extend plays and find receivers late downfield. He's got some, he doesn't run a lot, but when he does, he can make a play. His arm's strong enough to make every throw. He can scramble. And he was used on some design quarterback runs as well, which is something that they like. They like mobility in the quarterback. Look, I like the pick. I just have a feeling, even if Aaron Rodgers shows up, okay, Aaron Rodgers is 41. He's pretty injury prone at this point. Mason Rudolph is also injury prone, right?
Yep.
So I have a feeling we're going to see Will Howard at some point this year.
It's funny you say that because HJ says Howard will not get a start this year.
I think he might.
I don't know. Mike Lawrence says wasn't his completion percentage 73%. I think it was it this year or in the college playoffs? That number is a true number. I just don't know. I don't think that's his career. But the thing about Will Howard is I have a sneaking suspicion that he's the guy they want to be the starting quarterback, and that if it's a choice between Rudolph and Howard, that they would start the season with This is the problem with the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, and this is something we've been talking about year after year after year after year. They've kind of backed themselves into a quarterback issue corner. And so now my feelings about Will Howard are, why didn't he go a little higher? And I don't even want to talk about that, but because it seems to me like he should be a top 3 round kind of pick, maybe not first round.
I thought he was going to go in like the 3rd or the 4th.
Right. And they're in a position right now where just take Rodgers out of the equation. Because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. That's what I think. It's not what I've heard.
Well, I will tell you what, though. I mean, they've been saying during the entire draft weekend that Rooney and Tomlin have both told, Rappaport and Schefter that they feel very good about where it is with Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're basically saying we think he will come.
But it's Aaron Rodgers, so right. If he comes,
the enigma.
I would not be surprised if he came here, and I would not be surprised equally if he retired, because I think that's where he is in his life.
Could be a 50-50.
Anyway, enough about Aaron Rodgers. So the corner that the Steelers have backed themselves into is a corner in which right now we still have to assume Mason Rudolph is QB1 on the depth chart.
Yep.
And who would you rather? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to run Mason Rudolph out there, and so Skylar Thompson's not going to be QB2.
No, okay? Right now he's your QB2.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And when you think about Mason Rudolph, and you think, maybe they won't win a lot of games if he's the quarterback,
right?
Which means might as well try out Will Howard midway through the season, right? That's number one. Number two, Mason Rudolph gets injured, which he has, then, Will Howard's in. So unless Aaron Rodgers gets here, Will Howard's playing this year.
I agree with you. And I think he should play. Let's see.
I think there was another guy picked in the 6th round named Tom Brady.
Yeah, I know. We can always, you can always go to the extreme.
All he did was win
7 Super Bowls. Yeah, that's right. A lot of thoughts coming in on this. Steve HJ says, I think they just picked him to please a call for a QB. I don't. And he doesn't think they plan on playing him at all.
No, I can tell you this. Let's see, Marvin Hamilton says this might be the steal of the draft. Look, there was talk all leading up to the draft that the Steelers really liked Will Howard.
Yeah.
So they had him in mind. It wasn't just an appeasement pick. They had him in mind that he's the kind of quarterback they like. He's mobile. He's big and strong. He won a championship, and look, now granted, one part of this is, can you trust the Steelers to develop a quarterback?
That's the corner.
That's the corner they're in. But if you can, all this guy needs is to develop. He's got the measurables.
Yeah, and the other thing is everybody's talking about, next year the draft is here and they want to get their quarterback here, and what a great poetic story that would be. Then why are you drafting a quarterback now? I think they see the future in this guy. I think, Arthur Smith's offense is in year number 2. Their offensive line is young. They're getting younger on defense. Aaron Rodgers is not the answer long-term, no matter what happens. Mason Rudolph is not the answer long-term, no matter what happens. This guy could be the answer. And I think there's something behind this. Now, HJ saying we're delusional. He also says he's going to have a stable signal in about 20 minutes to talk Sully.
Right.
Just shoot us a comment when you're a little more stable, HJ. So overall, the Will Howard pick, it's hard to put a grade on it for me, but I'm going to give it a B because it addresses, a need. They need a capable quarterback in that room, whether it's a backup to Rudolph or somebody to develop. I give it a B.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a B also. I mean, because to be honest, I don't think, look, obviously, the Tom Brady, the entire league misjudged it, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is there's very few quarterbacks that make it out of the 6th round. I think he's a better player than a 6th round grade.
Yep.
And so therefore, I think it's a good pick.
Yep. HJ agrees with me. Offensive line will be the story this year. Right on, TD. Well, thank you, HJ. Next up in the 7th round from Washington, we got to go nepotism. When you're with the Steelers, you're going to get a relative playing with you sooner or later. Carson Bruner, son of Mark Bruner, correct? Son of Mark Bruner, former tight end for the Steelers, linebacker.
So this guy's 6'1", 227. He's a gap sound run defender, doesn't waste a lot of motion, and meets backs in the hole. He takes sound angles and closes well in pursuit. He also gets great depth in his drops and reads the quarterback well. And his hand-eye coordination is excellent. He picked off 3 passes in 2024. That's pretty good for a linebacker, and should push for immediate playing time on special teams in the NFL.
Okay, so I gave this pick a D, and the reason I give it a D is because here we are yet again with another son, brother, cousin, whatever. No disrespect meant to Carson Bruner, but do we need a linebacker? Yes. Did we have, how many other linebackers were on the board, maybe graded higher than him? I don't know. And when the highlight paragraph says he's going to make a great addition to special teams, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this pick where it was. HJ gives it a D-.
Well, let's also think too about why. I'm going to give it a C-.
Okay. All right.
But let's think about why we're giving this grade here, right? Because the good teams that draft in the NFL are able to find diamonds in the rough between rounds 4 and 7.
Right.
The teams that are average or not so good, they don't get anybody good in rounds 4 through 7.
Yeah, they get their throwaways.
Right.
They're filling roster spots.
So what we're kind of looking at is we're let's face it, we're going based on, past behavior is the best predictor of future success, right?
Yeah.
And we're basically saying, hey, they can't get it right in the 6th round or the 7th round. Why should we believe they're going to get it right this year?
Right.
But the reality is, number one, we really don't know.
True.
And number two, it really is year 2 of Omar Khan and Andy Weidel.
That is true.
The Andy Weidel
effect.
Yes,
you got it.
So I don't want to just write him off just because, it's the Steelers nepotism.
Right.
He might actually be, look, 3 interceptions for linebackers, pretty good.
Yeah, that is good.
So, you never know. And Washington's a quality program.
Yes.
We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Schwaber gives it a C-. Did you say C- or C? I think
C-.
C-. All right. That's not that far away from a D-. All right. And finally, in the 7th round, Dante Kent, cornerback.
Dante Kent,
Michigan.
Central Michigan. Started 48 games for Central Michigan and finished his college career with 47 passes defended. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He averaged 13.6 yards per punt return, so could be a special teamer.
That's pretty much what we're getting here.
Although, CA3 might be slotted in there already.
Yep.
He returned 1 punt, 68 yards for a touchdown this past year. And he ran well on his pro day.
Yeah.
So he's got some speed. I don't mind it.
No,
I don't mind it. I think it's as far as like a round 7 late draft pick. I'd give it like a B.
Yeah.
He seems like a guy who's got a chance to make it on special teams and maybe serve as, a reserve cornerback.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The Steelers have had issues at cornerback the last few years. Now they've got JPJ and Corey Trice. They're hoping turns into something.
Mm-hmm.
This is a special teams and a depth pick. If he's got some speed, that's good. I give this a B- for a round 7 pick. I'll take it. 48 career games, 47 passes defended. And if you look at the drafter overall, they went heavy on defense, and that's good. So, and HJ says a C for that guy.
HJ just honestly doesn't believe in the Steelers right now.
He's like our Negadelphia guy.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't believe in them anymore.
Yeah. It's not. Look, it's hard to believe in what they're doing, but at the same time. What really happens is usually when you have a GM change or a regime change, you usually get a coaching change. Right. Somewhere in there. So it's kind of like we got but we didn't really even get a regime change. Omar Khan was an assistant. They just elevated him. Tomlin's been the coach forever. Right. He just gets to keep his job. They bring in Arthur Smith.
Right.
We'll see. So we're still in the we'll see stage for the Steelers, and quarterback is still the biggest question mark they have.
Right. And let's face it. That's your team.
That is your team. So,
you see a team like the Commanders get good overnight with Jaden Daniels.
Right. And that's because they sucked the year before.
Right.
Absolutely sucked.
Right.
But even that, you suck and you draft a quarterback first or second, 50-50 shot. You have to give that. You have to give that its due. You can't say just because you suck, you're going to turn it around.
Right.
But it certainly gives you a leg up on options in drafting, and it gives you, even, let's say you have your quarterback, like back when Aikman was the quarterback for the Cowboys and they finished 1-15. Well, then you've got draft capital to trade back and load up on draft picks. So sucking automatically gives you that kind of capital. So,
it does, yeah.
Yeah. The Steeler coach, Yin's guys talk about that. We'll talk about Mike Sullivan, the Steelers receivers coach, was fired on the same day that Mike Sullivan, the Penguins hockey coach, was fired.
And I have to admit, like, that also to me strikes as a bit dysfunctional. Like, why is your receivers coach getting fired today?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't it happen after the season? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, unless there's something stupid we don't know about, like he was throwing out, Shedeur Sanders' phone number for crank calls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe that was his fault.
But it's like, it's just weird.
Yeah, it is strange. 1 in 15, never forgive the Redskins for that. Pat Donovan say he's right on track. The Skins beat him the Skins lost to him that year. The Cowboys, the year they were 1 in 15. It's 2025, says Chris Chata. No one gets fired anymore. You part ways. I know. Got to be aware of everybody's feelings, of course. Let's talk real quick about the Pirates' struggles. But back to the draft real quick. I'm going to give their overall draft. I'm going to give it a B. Because they just didn't draft Shedeur Sanders at 21. I think anything they do after that is better. But I'm giving it a B because I do feel like they addressed their biggest needs. Defensive line, they needed a running back. The QB thing, I like the pick. I'm kind of lowering the overall draft grade because you forced yourself into having to make this pick this year. Whereas if Rodgers had signed, or you had signed a real quarterback, kept Justin Fields, whatever, maybe you're looking at next year's quarterback class. Who knows? Maybe they did. It's not uncommon. You can draft a quarterback 2 straight years. Hell, you can draft 2 quarterbacks in one draft if you want to, like the mistake on the Lake did. So, but I'm giving this draft grade a B.
Yeah, I'll give it a B minus.
Okay. What's the minus part for you?
Well, I liked the first 3-4 picks.
Right.
But I think kind of the mid-round picks, not that high about. I have a decent feeling about Will Howard, but I can't guarantee that's going to turn into anything.
Right.
And I kind of like the last pick, but I also can't guarantee that's going to turn into anything. So, I wasn't really pumped about anything past the 4th round. So therefore I give it a B minus.
All right. B minus. What's your grade on the Steelers draft? Drop it in the comments. Let us know. Get on over to YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification button so you know when we're live every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time at the Sports Porch podcast. And of course, we do drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. Speaking of, let's see, to Chris Chata comment. Sorry, I saw a hilarious meme on Instagram. It was, forget the Epstein files. I want to see the Sanders interview takes.
I'd like to see that too.
Wendy chimes in.
Wendy Cody,
A+. I think she's not grading the Steelers. She's grading you.
Are you grading? You're grading us. Yeah. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate it.
I think
we appreciate that, Wendy.
Thanks for being here, Wendy. Subscribe. As far as the Shedeur Sanders thing goes, I'm glad that guy went to Cleveland. It's so Cleveland. It's not even funny. And we were talking on our Philly show. I think he's going to end up being the starter in Cleveland. I mean, you can't have that media circus without,
Well, it's certainly possible.
Yeah,
it's certainly possible. I mean, like you have to look at it this way. I mean, here's the deal. If he truly was blackballed, which I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was. I don't see any way around that.
Yeah, I think he was, and I think it was more about his father and not him, right? Well, think about it this. First of all, his father's his agent.
Yeah.
Do they want to deal with that?
Right.
His father has a camera crew everywhere for a reality show. Do they want to deal with that? Right. There's just a lot to deal with. And so most people did have a 1st-round grade on him.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and look, you can't tell me he's not better than some of these quarterbacks that went before him. I mean, he had 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Other guys had 21 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, right? So, the bottom line is if he is truly a 1st-round talent, you got Deshaun Watson, who is out for the year. You've got Kenny Small Hands Pickett.
Yep.
Okay. You've got Dylan Gabriel for the Oregon Ducks, who's 5'6". Right. And then you got 42-year-old Joe Flacco.
Right.
There actually is no better spot to be able to try to win a job, then right there.
Yeah, even though you got 4 other guys,
right? Even though you got 4 guys in front of you,
it's just
it actually might be a decent shot.
Unbelievable.
I don't think he'll start the year as the quarterback, but look, with those quarterbacks, they're not going to have a good record.
No,
so eventually they're going to want to see what they got.
It's a mess. That day, you want to talk about the ego in that room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about all the quarterbacks in that room and the ego that's flying around. B Draft says Virginith. I'm not sure I'm saying that right on YouTube. Thanks. Hit the subscribe button. Glad you're here. If they take Shedeur around 4 to 5, it's an A. He's worth a shot in day 3. Absolutely not. Couldn't disagree with you more, but I respect your opinion on that. A lot of people feel that way.
Actually, I do agree with that. I mean, like, I like the pick of Will Howard, okay? But I also sit there and I think, geez, like, you could have had Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round.
I mean, 5th round over Yaya Black, a defensive tackle, that's a need. They could have had him in the 6th round over Will Howard, I think, right?
Well, no, I think he went in the 5th round.
Oh, he went in the 5th.
He went in the 5th round.
So they would have had to give up Caleb Johnson, Jack Sawyer, or Yaya Black. I don't like that. I just the circus around this kid.
Here's the thing.
It's not worth.
Well, here's the thing. Yaya Black. I like his size. I have a good feeling about him, but like, let's also be like real and honest here. We have no idea if Yaya Black can play.
Yeah, well,
right?
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
He could become,
just another defensive line.
The guy that they let go, Adams.
Yeah.
That they just let go today.
Montrez,
he could be that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you didn't take a shot at a 1st round graded quarterback. And instead you went for one that was probably more of like a 4th round quarterback, but you got him in the 6th.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, I think it would have been worth. I totally agree with not taking him in the 1st. I totally agree with not taking him in the 2nd. But I even think like 3rd round, you got to start thinking about it, because you never know. Keep in mind too, like, obviously 32 teams passed on Tom Brady, 32 teams passed on Drew Brees, 32 teams passed on Jalen Hurts.
Lamar Jackson was the last pick in the first round. He was
the 32nd pick. So obviously a lot of people didn't think Lamar Jackson was a 1st round pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what did he do in college? He basically did kind of what Lamar Jackson did.
Right.
Lamar Jackson was a much more dynamic runner, but put up a bunch of stats.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Hey, only time will tell. Only time will tell. But Cleveland is the place where quarterbacks go to die. So unfortunately for Shedeur Sanders, I don't think things are looking that good for him from a career standpoint.
It'll be interesting to see, though, if this really humbled him.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Everything that's come out now about the interviews he had with the Giants and not being prepared and being filled with attitude and all of that, it's kind of like, what do you expect? It's Deion Sanders' son. But I am. Look, if he goes on to have a fantastic career, everybody in Pittsburgh is going to look back at this draft and be like, we could have had him.
Right.
But so will every other team that could have had him.
Yeah, but you guys really have the need.
Well, exactly.
That's the difference.
Exactly. At the same time, you could flip the script on that and say, look what happens to these guys and the 50-50 shot. Once again, if we waste a pick on him, are we mortgaging our future, by getting this? Because look, it's nothing but a media circus with him right now.
Right.
And it's going to be a media circus through the entire offseason. And then if you're in Cleveland, listen to the media up there. It's going to be, unless he looks absolutely horrific in training camp, in OTAs and training camp and all that, and they're like, why is this guy even here? The media is going to be all over that organization. Why aren't we starting Sanders? Why aren't we starting Sanders? Why aren't we starting Sanders? How are you going to be able to coach, when every question you're being asked?
They do have a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. They do.
Yeah, they do. They do. So we shall see. We shall see.
We shall see.
HJ, if you're in a stable connection, hop back in and we will talk Penguins. The Pirates struggles. This is a tough one because
I've come to the conclusion that what the Pirates are is one game worth watching every 5 days.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
It's the Paul Skeens game, and then that's it.
Yeah, they beat the Dodgers 3-0.
He had a
Paul
great
Skeens
pitched a great game.
Lost 8-4 and 9-2, and they're playing the Cubs, I think, tomorrow night. So no game tonight. 11-18 in the NL Central. They've lost their last 2, 6 games back of the White Sox, who I believe I predicted would have a pretty good year this year. The all-important stat for me, especially as we start to get further and further into the season, run differential, boys and girls, -25. They've scored 102 runs, and they have, sorry, I'm getting some kind of weird notification here. They've scored 102 runs. They've given up 127. The Cubs on the opposite end of that spectrum are +39. The Reds +41. The Brew Crew +17. So, their bullpen is blowing up games. And let's see here. We got a comment coming in. Thurman Thomas fell asleep when everyone passed him over, chip on his shoulder, whatever. That's Pat off track. I know what you're talking about there, Pat. So, the Pirates' struggles continue. It looks like O'Neal Cruz is starting to come around a little bit.
He's got 8 home runs.
They've had him in the leadoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
The last few games. I didn't check last night. But with 8 home runs, 16 RBIs, his on base is 366. I mean, again, give me a full year where he plays and he plays up to his potential, and maybe I'll hop on that bandwagon. But other than that, let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, it's like, I don't care if they have a few good games.
Mm-hmm.
This team is not a functional baseball team.
No.
And it's really hard to jump on a bandwagon. I mean, they'd have to win like 30 straight. I mean, they have to go, in order to be relevant this year, they have to go like, I don't know, 79 and 35 or something for the rest of the year. They have to like blow it out, So as far as the Pirates go right now, they continue to struggle. We'll keep you posted throughout the year. But I really, they did bring up Matt Gorski, who had a home run in his first at bat, and he'd been tearing it up in AAA. I like the move, but who's Matt Gorski? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I like the move, but who's Matt Gorski? So.
All right. I believe Jesus has found himself back to the cloth.
Yep. Sully is out for the Penguins, and let's bring in Hockey Jesus. There he is. Hockey Jesus, welcome back to the podcast.
I'm not going to say this is going to be a good connection, so you're going to have to tell me if it is.
It's better
than it was. Good. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's better than it was. Absolutely.
Well, so I'm off the wine trail. I made it back to the Airbnb. We got to talk about this Sully thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're ready.
We're ready.
We're ready to go. So first, let me say that Hockey Jesus preaches on the podcast at the Sports Porch Podcast on YouTube after every single Penguins regular season game and at select times during the playoffs. He actually dropped the podcast and a video earlier today on Mike Sullivan no longer being the Penguins head coach. So go back and listen or watch that. I did listen to it, HJ. Great take. I loved it. But you're here on the show tonight now from sunny Northern California. So give us your take on this. When I was listening to sports radio here while I was out and about before the show, they said it was a shock, like a total bombshell. Is that true? Is that a bomb? Was it a bombshell to you?
Yeah, it absolutely was. And it was for everybody. I think the only people who knew about this was Mike Sullivan, Sidney Crosby, and the guys at FSG. Those guys, that's probably the only guys. And honestly, they probably made the decision yesterday. So the fact that they kept it quiet is pretty amazing. The joy of being on the West Coast is you kind of get, like, I woke up and I was like, oh my God, Sullivan's gone, right? Like 16 emails and 25 texts about it. And then, so what I did was I listened to some people and I think I understand what really happened here. Sully didn't want out, but he had an out. And I think the Penguins wanted him to be out, and they just let him go. Honestly, I think that's really what it comes down to it. There was some bullshit that was going on the Fan that they said Sully had an interview and he made demands. Everybody I listened to said that was all bullshit. Like, that's not who Sully is anyway. Sully never made demands. He just, he was a 10-year coach for the Penguins. So he does demand respect. And I should have started this off by saying, thank you, Mike Sullivan, for 10 great years. You will forever be one of the greatest coaches that ever coached this franchise. But it's time to move on. How many times have we said, this is the same old Penguins, it's the same old Steelers? We can finally put a mark in the book that this is where it changed for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, it might change a lot for the worse. I'm not going to say that it is, but this is giving them a chance to absolutely make this a change for the better.
Now, Chris Chata says you made it sound on your podcast that the job changed and requires a new school type of coach. And he follows this up with, can you throw out a name of a coach that changed or changes his style philosophy based on his team? I asked because you said Sullivan was set in his ways.
Well, I mean, the issue with Sullivan is he was set in his ways, and he only had one way to play. So whether he's going to go coach for the Rangers or the Bruins or maybe nobody, that's what you're getting when you get Mike Sullivan. And he's going to be great with veteran guys because veteran guys love him because he's never been hard on veteran guys. So I think that could work well for, I don't know who will really work well for, to be honest with you. I'm just glad that he's not with the Pittsburgh Penguins anymore because it was the get along club. As far as a coach that changes their philosophies, Chris, just watch the playoffs. I mean, look at what Marty St. Louis is doing with the Montreal Canadiens. They're a very talented team. They can skate circles around Washington, but yet if they need to, they'll play the physical game with them. And that's the difference. You have to be able to do both in the playoffs, and you have to be able to change it up based off of who you're playing. And that's something Sully never did. He always had great players in 2016 and 2017 especially, and he got the most out of those players, and he won 2 cups with them. But that's all he was ever good for. And I think the Penguins saw the writing on the wall that although he said the right things and he wanted to actually, be around for the change, they knew he wasn't the guy. And I'm telling you, that David Carl, he is a guy. If the Penguins we're going to have so much fun with him. He's going to be great.
He's the University of Denver guy, right?
Yeah.
That you were talking about on the podcast.
Yeah, he's the University of Denver guy. He's a hot commodity. And like I said on the podcast, he turned down the Chicago job. So maybe he got a heads up about something going on. And he's turned down a lot of, he's said like for the past 4 or 5 years, he doesn't want to be an NHL coach because the tenure is so short. I actually think he's changing that philosophy now that he's won a national championship. Yeah. Not this year, but last year with the University of Denver. And he's made them. And University of Denver is a storied franchise when it comes to hockey. So he's done, and he was one of their best coaches. So I would love it if that guy came here.
Yeah, Pat Off Track says DeFlitch looks like a haggard hockey coach. I disagree with you, Pat. Steve's actually
I still have my teeth.
Yeah, well, he's kind of bringing it. He's got the sports writer look tonight. He's got the glasses on. He's got the button-down shirt. So he's either going to multiple wine tastings or he's playing the part of sports journalist.
Multiple wine tastings is what I'm going for.
Well, I'm glad we caught you early because
actually you caught me coming back from one, to be honest.
Yeah. Are you at your Airbnb now?
Yeah. I'm heading out tomorrow, so this is the last night at the Airbnb. Gonna head to Point Reyes tomorrow and catch some of the Pacific Ocean, and gonna fly back tomorrow. So
nice.
There you go. So we'll have you back next week on the porch.
Hey, you guys did a great job with the. Even though I don't agree with everything you said with the Steelers, you did a great job with that. I really have a different take, and I'm not going to go through it now. But I think the Steelers did okay. That's the bottom line.
They did okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, Mike Lawrence says, go for the vino, Steve. Enjoy. And yeah, you know, how's the wife handling it? How's she handling the closeness here and the, you know, like can't get rid of you mentality?
Well, I can tell you,
you have to get on your show while you're on vacation. I've experienced
that. Yeah, it's not been great. I think I'm going to come back married. I still think I'm going to come back married, but I'm going to have to like sew some of those edges off because I've been ruffling a lot of feathers.
I haven't seen you in a button-down collared shirt in quite some time.
Yeah, really.
Well, you know, if you like it, too bad, because I'm not keeping it.
No, you're pulling out all the stops for Susan.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, yeah. I mean, we were actually at a pretty fancy place today. It was really cool. You guys would have loved it. This guy spent probably, I don't know, maybe 25 or 50 million on this winery, and he has a cigar collection that was ridiculous. It was amazing. It was amazing. So I had to dress up for that guy, definitely. Hey, one thing I can say about being on the West Coast, dude, waking up at 10 o'clock and watching hockey all day long is absolutely glorious. I love it. In fact, I'm incorporating this into my retirement strategy.
There you go.
When it comes to hockey playoff, I'm gonna have an apartment somewhere on the West Coast. So for about 2 or 3 months, I can do nothing but be at that apartment through the hockey playoffs. Look, I don't get any sleep anyway, so I might as well get up early and watch hockey, right?
Steve, you don't have to spend all that money to buy an apartment out on the West Coast. You just adjust your clocks. You know?
No, dude. No, trust me, it's different. It's different being out here because, like, you know how you get up in the morning, you have your coffee, you're kind of having a lazy morning.
That's every morning for me.
Right. It's nice. It's nice to have. Like, and you can do that when you're on vacation or retired. And then it's like, oh shit, I can watch a hockey game now.
Or unemployed.
Or me. I'm not unemployed. I just, my hours are 1 to 9, you asshole. Right. Dude, I'm telling you, just change your clocks or move out there. What the hell, you know? We can do the show
just for a few months. It's glorious. Like I can stay with my daughter, or I got a cousin that lives out this way.
I don't like that.
I can crash on their sofa. I can pretend like it's old times.
Like it's old times. I don't want to address what old times means. Anyway, Chris Chioda, I've watched more playoff hockey than I ever have in my life. Thanks, HJ. HJ,
the hockey's been great.
HJ, you are changing lives.
That's right. You are spreading the gospel of the NHL far beyond any borders ever anticipated. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. Don't drink too much wine tonight. Be nice to your wife. And
may the Holy Spirit be with you.
And may the Holy Spirit be with you.
Is that okay to say?
Absolutely it is.
All right.
And we're going to move on to our Trader Joe's segment here in just a second. But HJ, safe travels. Look forward to seeing you when you get back. And just like I just said, yes, this is the time.
Here we go.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Yeah.
Taste the honey sauce. Taste the
goodness of the biscuit with that honey sauce.
Don't get that honey sauce on me. I don't like the way it tastes with my chicken wings.
There you go. That means it's Trader Joe's snack time. And what does that mean for all of us? Well, everybody knows, if you watch the show and listen on a regular basis, that I work down at the Trader Joe's store in East Liberty in the wonderful city of Pittsburgh. And now they do not pay us for this sponsorship. I have to say that. So we're not getting paid, but I did get permission to do it. So what I do is every week I bring home a random Trader Joe's product. We sample it. And because we're not getting paid, we give you our honest opinion on it. Now, if they want to pay us to say nothing but good things,
we'll do that too.
Yeah, I think we'd take the money. Absolutely. Is there an earthquake in Schwabini's zone? What does that mean? Where?
Why am I shaking or something?
I think so. It's you and your leg shaking.
Earthquake.
Yes, constantly doing that. Okay, so our product this week is something that is I don't know if it's seasonal or not, but I actually think it's brand new. It's called the okonomiyaki Japanese vegetable pancake.
Sounds interesting.
And let me read you just a little of the description. Directly translated, okonomiyaki is derived from two words: yaki meaning grilled, and okonomi meaning as you like it. In Japan and in Japanese-inspired street food scenes across the globe, these savory pancakes can be made with a wide variety of ingredients, including veggies, proteins, cheeses. This comes directly from Japan. It's a simple yet sublimely satisfying combination of cabbage, yam, and green onion held together in an eggy batter. When prepped at home, it takes on a crisp texture on the outside and a light creamy texture on the inside. And if that wasn't enough, they've also included a packet of sweet and savory okonomi sauce and delicate tuna flakes so that you can enjoy your okonomiyaki appropriately enough, exactly as you like it.
Interesting.
Man, we should be getting paid for this.
Interesting.
I'm telling you right now. Okay, so I'm having a little issue here.
Can we eat it already?
Yeah, we can eat it already.
Right.
I just need to get back on the screen here. There's something going on. Okay, so
Is this going to be cold now at this point?
yeah, it's not hot.
We don't have a plate.
It is not hot. No, so you just eat it off of that and tell me what you think.
Okay.
All righty. Here we go. Trader Joe's snack time. Okonomiyaki Japanese vegetable pancake. Oh, and I do have a there it is. That's what it looks like there. That's the package. Anyway. What do you think, Schwaber?
Not bad. I mean,
not bad.
I might like it if it was hot.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
The prop diva wasn't here to cook it, and it had to be. I actually microwaved this because it was only 4 minutes. It smells good. It's actually really good. What about it?
Have the Japanese heard of Wawa? My sister says. Yeah, it just means grilled to your liking in Japanese.
That's funny. Amy says, "Is Lauren against bringing multiple plates downstairs?"
I know it's an issue. We're addressing it. Amy.
We're
trying to address it.
But she didn't make this. I made this.
Yeah,
and I was doing it. I had to do it quickly. So
they very rarely have company over.
I tell you,
they don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I like it.
Do you? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no.
Okay, good. Then I'll eat the rest of it. Yeah, Wendy says your shirt says Wawa. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm repping the hometown.
I think
Wawa's everywhere though now.
I think they're getting some out here.
Are they? Yeah.
Yeah, I heard somewhere, not in Allegheny County, but all right, there you have it. Trader Joe's snack time. Let's move on to something that we love doing, and I'm going to intro it because Schwaber introed it on the Philly show. This is called What We're Watching. And what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of streaming services out there. And given that, there's a lot of time that you waste looking at those streaming services to try to figure out what you're going to watch.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And you don't like wasting time.
No.
We don't like when you waste time either. We'd rather you have the time to watch our show.
Correct.
So if we can save you 30 to 40 minutes and you can dedicate that to watching our show as opposed to looking on Netflix or Prime or Max or Hulu or Freebie or Freevee or whatever the hell you're looking at. And you don't have to, surf for those, then we give you that time back and you can watch us or do whatever you want with it.
We're serving you. We're doing the work for you.
That's right. So what do? We tell you what you should watch. And sometimes we tell you what you shouldn't watch. And that's what we're going to do right now. And the only qualification, I totally botched that. I'm too busy watching our mascot dog Sassy running around here like with chicken with her head cut off.
Yep. She smells the food.
Well, she also smells her mama upstairs who won't let her upstairs. Stop.
Oh.
So anyway, the only qualification on what we're watching is you have to have finished the season that you're currently watching in order to give a review, or finish the entire movie or documentary if you're watching that. I'm going to start with the Grand Schwabini here. The Grand Schwabini has watched something called
The Valley of Tears. It's a show on Max. It's a 4-episode limited series. It was from back in 2020, but I happened to stumble upon it. And it's very good. It's not a true story, but it's based on true events. It's about the Yom Kippur War, where Egypt and Syria combined to have a sneak attack on Israel's holy day of Yom Kippur. And it is something that eventually did lead to the first peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. And it follows four guys who kind of go through the early stages of the war.
Now, are they IDF members? Are they in the Israeli Defense Force, or
they
are soldiers? Yeah,
they are, but there's like kind of like another component to it.
Okay,
like there's a thing called the Panthers, which like opposes the I guess probably the right wing government, and they're part of that. So like on one hand, it's like the Israeli government wants to imprison them, but then on the other hand, they want them to fight for them.
They need them to fight.
Right. So, but yeah, it's these story of these four guys, and it's very war focused. So it's really all about battles, and it's entertaining. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know about this war that I was able to learn in it. So kind of like a documentary, but not.
Excellent. The Grand Schwabini, Valley of Tears on Max. Moving on to my selection, this is something that's kind of close to home. I finally finished. I'm looking for the image here. I finally finished this. The Pit. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, but I have not watched it or don't know anybody who has.
Okay, so this is it's on Max. It is set in Pittsburgh in an emergency room. That is Noah Wiley. He is from ER originally, young doctor on ER. Done a lot of things since then. Actually did a pretty good on the Sci-Fi Channel, a pretty good alien invasion series that I watched. Years ago.
Of course.
Anyway, of course. So the Pit basically is inside an emergency room in a Pittsburgh hospital, fictional Pittsburgh hospital. But if you watch it, you'll recognize scenes from AGH.
I think Amy was talking about watching that because it had Pittsburgh in it.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about it is it's I think 12 or 13 episodes. Each episode is 1 hour of their shift. In the emergency room.
It's like 24, but
yes,
12 instead.
Yes. And a lot, it got some rave critical reviews. And the guy that one of the guys who was one of the producers or director or writer for ER also did this. He graduated from Carnegie Mellon in the 70s. There's a lot of Pittsburgh connections. I'm kind of conflicted on it because it was almost like there was too much going on. Like I know ERs are busy.
Well, actually, that's very similar to 24. Like 24 was great, but there's no way that all that stuff happens within an hour.
Yeah. Well, this was,
is it kind of like that?
No, this was more like every single, like the ER is packed, jam packed. So the waiting room has like 400 people in it.
Oh.
Not that Pittsburgh hospitals don't get busy like that, because they do, but it was almost like every person they admitted to the ER had some sort of like representative group issue, if you know what I'm saying. There were some political statements being made, and it's kind of like it was kind of like, okay, so I get it, but like everybody you see has some sort of political statement to make.
Right.
You know, so it was kind of like,
know.
But by the end of the series, though, it kind of redeemed itself because one of the statements it was trying to make ended up like kind of like it happened, but it didn't happen the way they thought it was going to happen. The acting is good. Noah is great. One of the other things that I didn't like about it was they throw out a lot of different Pittsburgh terms. So, but instead of calling it the Hill, they call it Hill District. Like, oh, he's from up in Hill District. It's like, no, it's
so they just actually didn't know it.
You just say the Hill,
right.
And other things like that. Little things that if you're a Pittsburgher, you're like, that's not quite right. But and then I found out about the guy being from CMU, and I'm like, why didn't he, quality control this? There could be a lot. Wendy says watching Ransom Canyon on Netflix is pretty good, but I would recommend the Sports Porch instead. Oh, thanks.
Isn't that nice?
Now she's just kissing ass.
She understands good programming.
So you know what? If you're into medical dramas, what you don't get in this first season is a whole lot of backstory on the characters. You get a lot of innuendo. But by the end of the season, they kind of take, in the last episode, a little dive outside of the emergency room. It was renewed for a second season. So setting it up for a little bit more of that character development. I will be watching season 2 along with my lovely wife.
Okay.
So there you have it. The Pit on Max. And I think that's about going to do it. Great. Yeah. All right, everybody. If you've been watching the Sports Porch, the Black and Gold edition all over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X, thank you very much. I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. And, of course, we will see you next week as we do every single week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday nights. For the Grand Schwab beanie across from me, I'm your technical director for Hockey Jesus out on the West Coast, who says, nice show, boys. That's it. I am out. Jablonsk.